My question is actually to do with a point that was raised on the third sector. I know budgets are being slashed across the board to do with housing and everything. What would you do if your party was elected into office to help projects such as the YMCA? What would your parties do to able to safeguard that particular budget for these particular type of projects? Because I know there is a lot of people who do a very good job. I know our chief executive does a very good job as well.
Yeah.
So staff members, there's loads of different staff members I could name in this place that do a really good job, but I'm going to give it up as a bad job.
Thank you, thanks very much. I think it's an excellent question. In fact, earlier today I was at a meeting of the local food bank in Hinkley and Bosworth, and they asked a question. They had all the different agencies there who are responsible for giving out the vouchers for food banks. And I work for a small charity. You know, I work in the charity and voluntary sector as my day job. And one of the questions that they asked was, can the voluntary sector, what else can the voluntary sector help with? What other services can they provide? And I made the very strong point, and I feel really passionately about this, not only as a politician but as someone who works in the voluntary sector, that actually I think the voluntary sector ought to say to government, enough and no more. You know, you cannot expect the volunteers are fantastic, as I say. I work for a charity and we rely on volunteers, but actually they're not there to take over services that have previously been run by government and by statutory agencies. And I personally think it's disgraceful. You know, you've heard of Cameron's Big Society. All that really was, and let's be honest about it, was a cover for cuts. His Big Society proposal was a cover for cuts. Let's make these cuts, let's pretend that volunteers and charities can take over these services. They're not going to get any extra help, they're not going to get any extra funding, but we'll say that they can take over the services, and therefore it'll be a lot easier for us to convince people that the cuts we're making to these services are fine and there's no problem with them. I think the voluntary and charity sector are there to add value. They are not there to run services which are the responsibility of central and local government. And I think it's shameful of national government and local government, of whatever party, who cut services and then say, oh, but the charity and voluntary sector can pick it up.